Hello and welcome, Rahul. If you're watching me on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel or my talk show, and if you're watching me consistently, welcome back to my channel. I always come up with new ideas and try to inform you of latest development, whatever is happening in the real world, because I strongly feel that if you have good intention and insights, to develop your own skills to match those person who come in top 1%, because until unless you don't distinguish yourself from the crowd, you don't go above, having skill that can take you higher and higher. That kind of quality I want to foster. I want to show you exactly the path that can develop your quality, and each and every time I treat that the life that you have got only once, I would not say only once, but this time, the identity that you have got, this body, you should try to make it successful. Until unless you are getting experience in this life, everyone is here to play a role, to have insight, to have experience, to learn from the actions that they take, its implications, its result. They have to observe and they have to force their path based on that kind of evidence that they get in their life. If you don't have insight, if you don't have incisive ability to analyze things, to contemplate, to introspect, and then choose the path, then you are making a mistake. Maybe there could be taste in your path, when you are walking the path very solemnly, or very patiently. But what happens sometimes, certain taste comes in your life, which actually try to give you a lesson. Sometimes it will take away even your patience, even your tranquility of mind. It happens. So this is what is telling you a lesson. In this life you have gotten your life, and you have to decide which path you want to take in your life, because until unless you don't take lessons from the life's learning, you won't be able to develop. Anyway, if you want to develop yourself, you have to take a side in the end, and that is what I'm going to tell you, exactly the truth. Because if you are really incisive, if you are really intelligent, you will be given a lot of tests. You will be tested each and every time by the society. The initial test is by the society, but next one, when you will go higher, the universe will test you. This is the reality that you have to know. Problem is that we are here, we have to awaken. Until unless we don't awake, we don't analyze the things, we don't become conscious, we don't have such kind of extraordinary power or vision to judge everything, to see around everything, whatever is going on. Many people are not even able to calibrate what happened in their life, in their past, the events that happened. Otherwise it could give you a good lesson. Otherwise, if you introspect your past, and your growth trajectory, if you make a map of that, if you make a graph of that, and you learn from all your deeds, it is enough to give you a lesson. Otherwise, if you don't get a lesson out of that, it will be difficult. And that is why I'm going to tell you exactly the path. Because see, if you are really incisive and really some of the brilliant people, you will be tested by the universe, because the universe is not still. It is always moving, it is always expanding, and the war between light and darkness is always perpetual. It's going on. When you will be awakened, will be aware, you will see that. I'm telling you with my experience, and whatever I will tell you, you will understand exactly that the person who is in front of you is actually telling you with certain experience that he has gone through and certain excellences he has found. Then only he is going to tell you and narrate some story in front of you, which will have essence, in your life. Because what happens, I have told you earlier, the person who doesn't have actually integrity, actual integrity, his voice, how much he makes the content or proliferate his content, it doesn't matter. His voice and his guidance will not carry you forward in your life, will not help you forward in your life. But the person whose integrity is intact, whatever he tells, it will resonate with your frequency, with your mind when you will be in your bad situation, and it will take you above, it will take you away from that kind of situation. Because only a little bit of light you need when you are in darkness. When I was in a desperate situation, in a situation of life and death, sometimes, a very grave situation, though the action was very opposite, something like striking with fire, but it gave me the real opening stance, or you can see that a time, for moment, that changed my life altogether. Because for a hero, or whatever you say, for a protagonist, for a real person, the eye-opening moment is a very little thing, very little moment, but it will be profound if the actions is from a great personality whose integrity has been forged in fire, who knows exactly what is the truth. you know so his guidance will certainly open your eyes, and that was happened in my life many times. I have been in bad situations, though my ears will certainly, you will perceive, or you will have a conception in your mind that I am still only in my 30s, and it is true, but I have a lot of experience when it comes to the struggle between darkness and light, because I have been through a lot of rigorous training, you would say, that by the universe or whatever you say. I have been through all those situations that a human mind can go. My perimeter of thought process and thinking have been through all the dimensions that could exist, and that you can know, and then you can perceive, because all the darkness that you feel, I have been plugged into in that kind of dimensions already many times, and when you are always being calibrated and being tracked for each and every moment, when you are judged for each and every moment by all the forces of different dimensions, what happens? You will see that there is a pressure in your mind, because you are awakened, you are conscious, and that is why it becomes essential for you that you observe each and everything. And all these certain people in the world are aware, who seek this reality, and who know deep within them that how the universe functions, how these forces work all together. And the more checkpoint they create, each and every time, they get frustrated by your actions, negative forces especially. And the light, the special ones, they will be really happy with you. This is what is the reality, because you have to take a side in the end. And I know that 90% of the people leave the hand of light, because the patience, that is needed, or the checkpoints of happenings, of events, really take away, snatch away their confidence. And that is why self-confidence is the key to success. And with perseverance, when you will let go, then only you will see that what lessons it gave you, what kind of patience it created in your life. You have to let go. You won't have to hinge on, or you won't have to entangled with that kind of negative vibes. You have to let it go, whatever happens to you, and you have to come victorious. You have to be associate yourself with the light that you need, because each and every time you will be thinking what take you above, what really enlightened your activities, and what really gave you good things in this life. It was your hard work, it was your perseverance, it was the patience of your tranquility and peace of mind, it was patience of your heart, or whatever you say. It took you away from all the impediments or all the constraints that came in your way. That is what is the reality. When you enlighten yourself, when the light will reside within you, you will see that the peace is the only reality. But without war, peace won't happen. And that is why you all have to be ready all the time. And when you are ready, you will see that exactly what happens, in your life. If they track you each and every moment, they get frustrated, because your living is enough. Not only your living, but your actions create problems for them, because they have created a lot of mess around your life. You won't even think how they treat you, how they take it and snatch away all the things, all the happiness from your life. I still remember when the Matrix first hijacked my first destination, or whatever you say, my first breakthrough. It left me in such a deep darkness, that it was very difficult to come out of that. But it was the God's grace, mainframe system grace, or my deeds and my perseverance that gave me the quality to come out of that. I would like to tell you what happens, because you took birth in the human form. Your memory and previous experiences were snatched away. But what happens after sometimes when you go through the lessons of life, when you are going through the academics, you learn and you accumulate such knowledge, then you become conscious of reality, then certain creativity happens within you. So then you realize actually in this life that you have come to a point where you can judge what is good, what is bad for you. But the conscious forces, interdimensional forces, they are residing here from eons, from longer period of time. So when the matrix hijacked me, it hijacked what? This body, this consciousness, this memory that have been accumulated only till a period of 24 years or 22 years, So I was not aware of the power of the forces, interdimensional forces that align themselves, When the darkness prevailed in my mind, when they hijacked me, I was not able to comprehend what is going on. Because whatever intelligent you are, you have creativity, you have ability to solve mathematical problems, to solve physics problems, to solve each and every equations and theorems, you are very good. I was very good at academics, but the forces that altogether shapes reality, that altogether shapes the thought process, the frequencies that your brain is aligned, if it will be altered altogether with the forces, it will change the course of your life altogether in one instance. And that was enough to bring me in darkness. I was not understanding why it was happening to me. But later on, after 2 or 3 years, when I realized whatever is going on, when I plugged myself into the reality, I knew actually, yes, my creativity was a little bit damaged. I know exactly that I could not be able to solve all the problems previously I was doing so keenly. I would not be able to match that intelligence. It may happen, but I don't need that kind of solving high equations and solving the jargons of all the research that is happening in the mathematical or physics or in any subject. I was not going there. Life is going to give me a different task. That is what is happening, because you need money and accordingly you will decide your path. It will be changed, and that is what happened with me over a period of time. Then I realized, the war actually happens in interdimensional, not of real solving problems or any kind of little bit excellencies that you find anywhere, and good people. The war is of light and darkness. The war is of dominance. The war is of power, and that is what I realized. When I was plugged in, I knew exactly that what happens when you are interweaved in the interdimensional forces of the universe. When matrix hijacked me, the darkness prevailed, then only I realized that something essential thing you have, you have been interweaved in the dimensional forces of the universe. Your action, not only this realm, but also all the dimensions, it reverberates through all dimensions, and that is what it impacts. That is what you have to know. If you take action with positivity, with light, with power, it will affect in every dimension, and that is what the dark forces were afraid of. That is why they hijacked. The matrix tried to hijack. That is what happened. If you think of a little bit of intelligence, if you take a metaphor of Tom Cruise or like that, of what I say, 007, there is a mathematical term that defines that kind of personality belonging to certain institution, but it is not of that. If you define in mathematical point, then it is 7,777. You have to be that kind of person who can solve that kind of reality. You have to understand exactly that you are not belonging to an institution where you are going to be any kind of person who can go to solve an organization problem. Even you are not going to be someone who has been given that responsibility, but the responsibility comes with eons, with longer period of time, with your birth, and that is what they recognize. At the time of your birth, they were knowing exactly this is the reality. This is why the war between forces is going on from a long time. Why many people lost their track? Why they become maniac? What happens? because they have a keen sense. They recognize everything, whatever is happening around. They perceive everything, but only the problem is that they don't let it go. They feed it within. They internalize it, and that is what the chaos all happens. You won't have to internalize it, because each and every time you are being assessed, each and every time you will be attacked, and you have to be ready. So what you are thinking of the past, let it go. Nothing is going to happen. You're not Tom Cruise. He's just someone who's going to solve the problem for an organization. You are living your own life. You have to be 7,777 who can think of reality, which is going from eons. This is what is your reality. This is what you have to identify. Once you become conscious, you know exactly that if you have clarity, if you have really real intelligence that you think, it can be taken away in one instance with the apply of forces. The real intelligence comes from the real dimensions when you connect your frequency with higher frequency, with the divine frequency. But when it will be impacted with force, with higher bombardment of light waves or whatever you say, it will disrupt your frequency, and once your connection is lost, you won't be able to access that kind of intelligence from that higher dimensions. And if it happens again and again, what will happen? If you have resilience, then only you will come. You will be resurrected. Yesterday in your life, that is what they are afraid of. When you come alive, when you come with the resilience, when you strike back, when you connect yourself and plug yourself again and again with the real divine frequencies, they are afraid of that. They are afraid of light. That is what happens in life. Many people won't understand right now what I'm going to tell you, but this is the reality of the matrix. This is the reality of the Marvel universe, or whatever you say in your life. You have made such a metaphor, certain examples. That is what I'm going to tell you with, that I want to identify yourself with. So you have to understand exactly. You may get excellencies with top 1%. You will be able to speak quite effectively like them, but after next day when you wake up, you see that your frequency is gone, your vocal cord is not working as it was working previously, or whatever you have trained the last night. You're feeling that your voice has been changed. You are being interrupted. Your inner voice is being interrupted. So what will happen? If you have light, then only you will see. Otherwise, many gurus will come in front of you, or maybe they're disguising and camouflaged from themselves, from the real karma. Maybe they have associated themselves with darkness. It happens, Real karma, walking on fire is not easy. You know exactly. That is what I'm going to tell you. Each and every time you have to be aware. You have to give them a strike back with your patience. The real reality will prevail. That is what is the reality. Secondly, when the matrix hijacked me, I was knowing exactly that it is going to give me pain, because many a person and many reality were going to be twisted, and that is what was concerning me. So I made a cross on my hand, and I knew exactly that it will be in remembrance of that very point of time, and I will certainly come back and I will take my revenge, or whatever you say, what they call it, avenge. You have to avenge whatever happened with you. And that is why I see each and every moment how they get frustrated, each and every action of whatever allies come out of eventual happenings. Whenever an allies come and they help me, they try to interfere. They try to interfere with all my helpers or my allies, because they know exactly when they will isolate, then they will try to make me weak, and that is what happens. But somehow, somewhere, if you are associating yourself with light, the real light prevails. But they are afraid of the divine frequency, and that is what is working in your life. That is what you have to remember, If you will not be able to remember, because you have been given the path of human intelligence you have, but when they will strike you again and again, you will start thinking, you will have deep introspections. When you align each and every action of theirs with your own, when you will make a graph of all these things, you will understand exactly why it is happening in your life, because they recognize. And the darkness, it prevails if it makes you naked in front of the world. Don't get afraid. You have been born naked. But the only thing that carries you forward, that you have light, your karma is perfect, not theirs. And that is what they are afraid of. If the forces of centuries hold, if the forces of eons will prevail on your mind, you won't be able to let go. The 22 years old, a human body won't, a human mind won't be able to survive that. It may happen, You lost, but you come again. You just resurrect yourself. You try to come alive. You could try to walk on your own foot again and try to show them exactly the way that they will be going through. Because your light, when it will shine on them, it will be so uncomfortable that they will burn in that very light, not the light of knowledge. And that is why the darkness dissipates away, in that way they squander. And that is what they are afraid of. Their built systems crumbles like a house of cards. That is what happens. All these things I'm telling you, with my experience, because many people try to see, into the matrix what is happening, and then they get afraid of that and they isolate their path. I try to say to them, yeah, exactly. You do your personal job in your life, whatever you are doing. If you are afraid of that, but once, if you are associating yourself with darkness and you will try to come and try to defeat me, your tongue will be tied in front of me. You will feel that you will not be able to speak in front of me. That is what is the reality. That is what is the power of light. You have to think of what you are saying against whom. Until unless you hold such kind of brilliance, such kinds of intelligence, you won't be able to survive a minute of mind. That is what is the power of light. It may prevail. But sometimes, the universe works in mysterious way, and we don't really proud of our power. We are proud of our karma, because we know that power goes in hand to hand, and the time defines. The time stretches and contracts, and then stretches as well as per its need. The universe knows, the mainframe knows everything how it works. But we are given certain responsibilities, and we are proud of that. We are proud of our karma. We are proud of our integrity, whatever we believe in, and we will try to take it forward as much as we can. That is what defines our pride that we seek. A little bit of whatever you say, otherwise I let it go. I know exactly that holding powers and positions is important, but it would not be easier when all the forces that entangles with your own thought process, and when once you're thinking, your one night decide the fates of the universal forces, then you will understand how much essentiality of yours holds the universe. Why your power is essential, not in the human-made power, but the real power resides within you. There are many players and people around, and that is why we don't try to prevail. We don't try to show exactly whatever is happening in the real world. But I want to make you aware of that. Don't underestimate the personality all around you all the time. Don't try to mock them. Otherwise, it may backfire and it will take away everything. Because the universe, when it punishes in a very bad way. It has its own karma, and it has its own resolution. It has its own law. That is what it is abide by. Thank you for listening to me.